We're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Five Out, a Ball Knowers podcast. My name is Graham Dinas. I'm probably not going to be running the point today. I think it's going to be Brendan Evers who's joining us again from last week, as is Sanket Patel, and I'm also joined by Jake Hickson and Matt Wallace. Before we get to all the good stuff we're going to talk about today on our first live episode, just want to plug all of our socials that you can find in the description of this video. We have links to our Twitter page, our Instagram, and our TikTok, which we will start posting clips after this episode. We've got our logo now, thanks to Clancy Elkins. Big shout out to him. So socials are going to be launched soon. We've got our website launching, fiveoutpod.com, in a week or two, and we're going to be streaming our podcasts. I guess we'll be posting podcasts after the fact with audio to Spotify and Apple here in the coming weeks. And subscribe. Like and subscribe. We're live, so I guess we have a live chat going on YouTube.
Yeah, so we are live
Wait,
on
what?
YouTube at the moment.
Yeah,
So
Live chat?
We
we
have
got
two
we got
live
live
viewers
chat.
right
We got
now.
chat.
Oh
I'll
my god.
I'll tweet
Spam
out
spam W's in the
link
chat.
to that. I'll tweet out the link to the live, so we can get some more people watching. But let's just get right into it. Which I guess we're gonna start off the top with some NFL news. The big news this week was Micah Parsons traded from the Cowboys to the Packers. Brendan, let's get your thoughts on the Micah Parsons trade.
yeah, well, I here's the thing. So I know a lot of Dallas area people were comparing it immediately to the Luka situation on how you have a generational player get traded. Um, but my take on it was I kind of think at this point the Cowboys had to trade him, right? Because you saw how he was at the last preseason game where he was literally sleeping on a training table during the game. So I feel like their hand was forced. I completely disagree with Jerry Jones saying that it makes their team better. He said that this is a move to make our team better. Um, I think you guys would probably agree that like you're not 100% certain that you're going to be able to draft generational talent even with two first round draft picks. So maybe when what they're getting back isn't enough, but I feel like they kind of had to make a move, especially since he had so publicly said, "I do not want to be a Dallas Cowboy." Um, Personally, I don't love that it was to the Green Bay Packers, just like as a personal thought. However, that's the NFL, and I think it'll make for some really interesting NFC North matchups. I think that makes that Green Bay team pretty scary. Um, you get basically a top 10 defensive lineman now to add to your group. Um, Jake, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I think it's pretty dumb to compare it to Luca. Luca wanted to stay in Dallas. Micah did not. Um, so there's that. That's pretty big difference. I also will say, Kenny Clark is a good player, don't get me wrong. Um, but other teams are definitely like, man, like this is all it was gonna take to get Micah. Like I really wonder if how many teams Jerry was calling up offering Micah for that return? Because there's some teams that are like definitely hurting right now because they definitely would have made that trade. So that's pretty much all I have on it. I think it's dumb to compare to the Luca trade because again, Luca wanted to be in Dallas. Micah was sitting on the sideline eating nachos. So
What about you, Sunkit?
I mean, in my opinion, I don't pay attention that much to football, but I've seen it been blowing up, and everybody in like our group chats have been blowing it up. So, I mean, from what I'm hearing, it is a big deal. So, we lost somebody.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant NFL take, Sunkit.
Yeah, yeah.
or
I'm sorry. Well, like I said, I don't know anything, but from what I've gathered, they're going all in on their picks. Basically, they're trusting everything on their first round pick.
Right.
And
I think I think to be honest though, like you really don't know how a college guy is going to pan out in the NFL.
Exactly.
Even with 2 first-round draft picks, like I just think that they had to make a move because there was a broken relationship there. But in a perfect world, like Dallas fans are like, well, why did the relationship get broken to begin with between ownership and Micah Parsons? So, and that's if I was a fan of that team, that's the same question I would be asking. A lot of teams or a lot of fans of the Cowboys, which they have a lot, are pretty upset right now and are basically like I've seen some takes that like this is it for them. They're no longer going to be fans of the Cowboys. Um, I've seen takes like this is it, and unless Jerry Jones is the owner or is not the owner, we're not a serious team. Um, but you gotta have a little question of like, why did it get to the point where Micah Parsons had to publicly state, "I don't want to be a Dallas Cowboy," and act the way he did?
Cowboys fans are funny, man. They weren't going anywhere with Micah, in my opinion.
I
They
think
they
it's
just they just keep crying, man. I mean, because they were multiple pieces away from being real contenders with how stacked the Eagles are. They were not gonna go anywhere with Micah. So
I think Jerry
it is. I
Jones.
mean, if I was a Cowboys fan, I would be hurting right now too. But I mean, he didn't want to be there, so it was just. I felt like it was inevitable. But Jerry definitely should have handled that a lot better than what he did, because he wouldn't even talk to his agent, right? From what I understood, he wouldn't even talk to his agent.
Jerry is still in the process of running the Cowboys like he's stuck in the 80s and 90s with how he's running the organization, and I think he would rather trade away a franchise player like Micah Parsons than go out and set the market on one of the 3 best defensive players in football. He didn't want to fork over however much money it was going to take to keep him, which the Packers signed him to a 4-year extension for what, $188 million or something. Jerry, for whatever reason, is not willing. He's stuck in the old school way of thinking, and he doesn't want to pay his edge rusher that much money. Um, and I
But
think it
if
was funny
yeah,
in his press conference, he was talking about how it's like the Family Guy bit where Peter's trading away the boat for the mystery box, and it's like, what if one of the picks, what if one of the picks could be Micah Parsons, a Micah Parsons level player, and it's
Yeah, it's like
just
trying to get the ray gun in Black Ops Zombies, dude.
it's just Jerry.
I
I
think
don't know. I think Jerry Jones is he's a good man, but he's fallen victim to his own ego and his own hubris. And
I,
before
I think
others can
Jerry's going.
forgive
I
him,
think I think Jerry's going senile on us.
he needs to first learn to forgive himself.
it would bother me as a fan
Didn't
too, because everyone always lives in the now, and that almost states that like we're not serious right now. In a sense, it's like, okay, even if you do have one of these draft picks that turns out to be an elite level player, it's gonna be 2 or 3 years before we really see that. Like you can have a really good rookie season, but most defensive players or most NFL players rookie season is not to the caliber of having like Micah Parsons didn't even play every game last year, and he hasn't had a season with less than 12 sacks. And so I don't think any rookie's going to come in and immediately have 12 sacks, and like 5 forced fumbles or whatever. So like that is a game changing kind of player. Um, and I think that just almost states it's like, okay, well, there goes Matt again, that they're not serious right
That's
now. Now
struggling.
they still have CD Lamb and um, on offense, and the entire offensive side of the ball is going to be good. But it's like a player like Micah Parsons changes how you game plan for a team, changes how you scheme. You're going to go away from him. Um, you're not maybe not going to leave him one on one. So I don't know. I feel like Dallas Cowboys fans have had a lot to complain about over the last few years with early playoff exits. Not getting a lot of sympathy for me, but I feel like we're going down that same path this year.
Another thing, going back to the Parsons Luka comparison, the Mavericks were contenders with Luka. Like they went to the finals. They were like just one role player, like one solid role player away from getting over the hump, being actual title favorites. And the Cowboys have not proven themselves at all with Micah, and they were multiple pieces away. So I hate that comparison. I don't know why people can't keep trying to make that comparison.
The Luka trade
But
too was mid-season.
I think I did read somewhere that Caleb Williams a couple days ago converted to Christianity and has been praying approximately every 12 minutes out of the day. So there's that.
I did not see that.
Yeah, I didn't,
Yeah.
but noted.
I think I read that on Yahoo or something like that. Maybe Reddit. Reliable. It was a reliable source. I know that. So yeah. Um, Caleb Williams is putting his faith in God, and he's praying. He's
I feel
praying
like that's
heavily.
kind of yeah. Maybe that's the best strategy when you play for the Chicago Bears.
I think
Unfortunately,
so.
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why he's getting a late start on that, but good for him,
Let's
man.
talk. Let's talk about the Packers and the NFC North side of this. How like the Packers already were perennial a perennial playoff team, but not a team that you would expect to be a Super Bowl level contender with their quarterback situation. They were just they were very good, but they were never great. I think this immediately puts them in that group at the top of the NFC with Philadelphia, with
Yeah, for sure.
Detroit, and then I don't know if we still have any trust in
Mm.
San Francisco, but I think that might be another
Well,
team that
I
would
don't
be
know
in
if
that
I'd put
group.
him above Detroit yet. X Factor definitely Matthew Golden. If Matthew Golden is legit, Packers are legit.
But we've
So we'll
seen
see what
losing
happens. I'm
this,
excited.
like when I mean the best comparison I think was 7 years ago in 2018 when the Bears traded for Khalil Mack before the season. Like you add a top three defender, that's a very important defensive position at the edge rusher to your roster, and
Oh yeah,
immediately the Bears became I don't know if they were a Super Bowl contender, but you would definitely say I think Jordan Love is a little bit better than Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, and so the Packers are going to be at least in that top three of the NFC. You'd have to imagine.
oh yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
Packers
and
win 12 games this year. I think they win 12. If Micah and Love stay healthy, I think they win 12. But real question is, do they get out of the NFC in the playoffs?
I think
well,
that
We'll see
division
what
as a
happens.
whole is so tough. Like I could see those teams all splitting with each other. I mean, like I think that the Bears are going to have a good year this year, and I think that division is just going to eat each other. And so, like whoever makes it out and makes it into the playoffs, I think will go on a deep run. But um, I really don't see more than two teams in that division winning like 12, 13 games this year.
That's the thing too is the way the NFL playoff is structured. One of those teams is going to have to do it on the road in the playoffs because if you get home field when you win your division, and so either Detroit or Green Bay is going to have to go through a NFC South champion on the road, and then probably would have to go play the other team the next week on the road. So, and
wasn't
obviously
it?
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, what was it? What year was it? There was like a 10-7 team hosting the playoff game against like a 12-5 team.
Back in 2020, the 2020 season where the playoffs were in 21, I remember the Washington football team won the NFC East. I believe at like 7-9. I don't know if we were playing 17 at that point yet. And the Brady Bucks lost out in the South to the Saints, and they had to go on the road to Washington, who was sub 500, and that was the game that Taylor Heineke kind of went ballistic on that Tampa defense and almost won it, but then the Bucks went and won the Super Bowl anyway. So it's doable. Like there is a path for a 5 seed to go on the road and win out in the NFC. We've seen it before recently.
All right. I want to switch gears now to the college game because week 0 is over. It's now week 1. We had some good entertainment week 0. The main one was Iowa State going on the road, as well as Kansas State going to Ireland. I want to get everyone's take on that game. But then we've also had some college football games already as we record on the opening week of college football Saturday. There's 11 Power 4 versus Power 4 opponents that are going to play each other in week 1. Some have already played, so we'll get some takes on that. But let's start with that week 0 since that's a little bit more in the past. Iowa State 24, Kansas State 21 in Dublin, Ireland at Aviva Stadium, the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. What did we think? Was that a good appetizer for the college football season?
That was such a great game.
Yeah, actually, Matt, go ahead.
I mean, like just that Twitter clip of that drive whenever they were on like the 4-yard line, about to punch it in and just immediately fumbles it on that toss play was the perfect way to send us into the college football season. And like there wasn't a ton of scoring in that first half, but that fourth quarter was so fun to watching them go back and forth. And then I think Kansas State got stopped on that 4th down play. And then Iowa State immediately scoring, them going back and forth, and then Iowa State being able to hold on. That was a sick game.
I'd say the football itself was far from perfect, and especially in week, like you're seeing it now in week 1, these teams are still playing some pretty sloppy football. In week 0, you have a week less to prepare, and they're going to another country, and the conditions are awful. Like it's off and on, downpouring rain, the ball's wet. They're playing in a soccer stadium. They filled that soccer stadium up though. Like I don't know who was I don't know how you catch a plane from Manhattan, Kansas to Dublin. I don't know what the flight path is there. Same with Ames, Iowa. But they showed out, and it was, I mean, the atmosphere was great. Again, I'm not a fan of starting the college football season in another country, but
I'm actually
at least a fun watch. Good.
I'm not surprised that the stadium was full. When Nebraska was getting set to go out there a few years ago, there was a lot of publicity done for that, and there was a lot of advertisement for like travel packages to get over there as a fan, including that were basically like sponsored by the team. But like the people from this college football classic actually came to a home game and spoke. So like I'm not surprised it was packed out. Plus it's a conference game. Plus I think there's a lot of people that are like will use it as like an excuse to go see Ireland. And I also believe the Irish national rugby team plays there as well. So from what I've heard, it's a very nice stadium. Of course, I haven't been there. But I remember texting some buddies of mine that we are so back. The fact that we, the first drive of the game gets all the way down to like the 6-yard line and then we fumble and turn it over. I believe there was 2 lost fumbles in the first quarter, one by each team. And until the scoring, like the first touchdown was scored, it was almost like both teams were going to shoot themselves in the foot right before they scored. I thought it was a great game. And we talked about it on our first episode. Like, if you're the losing team, you're just going to complain about having to play a conference game in another country to start the season. But for the greater game, like having a ranked matchup to start that is pretty great.
And both of those teams are going to be competitive in the Big 12. Too, like you said, like it's a ranked on ranked matchup. The Big 12 is anybody.
After seeing Baylor last night, for sure.
They didn't look great. Arizona State's obviously coming back as the defending champion, and they're returning a bunch of their talent. And then, I mean, Colorado didn't look good last night either. So the Big 12 is anyone's to take, and Iowa State getting that win in what was technically a road game for them is kind of big time. When like that could be a major factor when it comes down to Big 12 tiebreakers, and the championship in December is the game that was played in mid-August in Ireland.
I would agree. Now let's move into some of the games that have already happened. You teased at Colorado Baylor last night. For those that watched, I thought it was a pretty entertaining football game. It was more defensive than maybe I expected. But of course, all the talk before was, the retirement of Shedeur and Travis Hunter's jersey number before the game, despite going 13-12 at Colorado. But I think it was like, all right, so what does the post Travis Hunter Shedeur Colorado look like? And then I was surprised, and I think we all were on our first episode when we checked the lines and Georgia Tech was favored. I thought Georgia Tech looked pretty good last night, but I think the big story coming out of Colorado Georgia Tech last night was the clock management at the end of the game. Did anyone else here watch that game?
I was watching
I was not tuned in.
All right, so Graham was watching a blowout.
Yes. But
I did not watch any of that.
the Illini looked
Which
really good.
Yeah,
against Western Illinois.
the big problem was Colorado was down by 3 with the ball, and they had the ball with I think it was around midfield-ish. I don't remember the specific spot, but they get up to the line, and it ends up there's 38 seconds left, and Colorado has 2 timeouts, and everyone's like, why aren't the clock is running? And it ends up the quarterback ends up scrambling around, so the play takes 20 seconds, and he goes out of bounds finally, only gaining 4 yards. It gets a first down, but goes out of bounds with 18 seconds left. So it just limits the amount of plays you have to get into field goal range or try to take or go for the win. So that was the problem there. I don't really hate trying to hold on to your timeouts. I feel like every year people are going to say shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but if they had just gotten into range and tied the game, doesn't matter. Everyone would forget, but because it's a loss, everyone will remember that. As a Nebraska fan, we know all that too well. There's lots of history of bad clock management at the end of halves. I think the most famous clock mismanagement that I can remember is it's in the NFL with Matt Eberflus in Detroit, I believe, at the end of the game.
Mike McCarthy as well against the Niners.
Yeah.
That's the first that came to mind for me was watching
Yeah,
Dak
that was-
Prescott.
Talk about
for
Cowboys
10
fans
yards
in
with
turmoil.
timeouts.
The one that I think of
Uh,
for bad clock management was that Broncos game when Russell Wilson was trying to drive down the field. I think they were down 3, and it was on one of the very first Manning casts that they did. And I believe there was a minute 12 or something like that left. And they threw some dunk play for 12 yards, got the first down, and took the entire play clock down before taking a timeout. And the entire time Peyton Manning is yelling at the TV, call timeout. And that one was insane to watch for me.
I think Russ, that was game 1. That was the Geno. I didn't write that game, but Russ, they had the ball at midfield, and they threw it away, or something. There were 3 incompletions. They couldn't pick up a single yard, and they trotted out McManus to try and hit a 65-yarder to tie. I mean that, and then you mentioned the Thanksgiving, Brendan, the Eberflus on Thanksgiving from last year. That was a painful watch. Austin is in the chat. He's not happy that was brought up. But yeah, it's crazy to me how poorly some coaches can perform with clock management when that's almost your entire job as a football coach is to that's such an important factor to coaching a football team is you have to know how to use the clock to your advantage, and so many coaches just really struggle with that. And obviously I'm not going to say that Dion is this incredible in-game coach by any stretch. He does all of his legwork on the recruiting trail, bringing in all the high-level talent, and then hoping that I think his assistants can carry the load when it comes to in-game stuff. Um, but I saw a play from the Colorado game before halftime where Caden Salter was scrambling around in the pocket. He made a nice throw on the run, and there was like an incredible catch in the end zone. But you mentioned the scrambling, so at the end of the game it came back to bite him. But he looked really good on that one play to score a touchdown in the first half. And Caden Salter has a proven track record. He was pretty good at Liberty for the past couple of years. I'm curious to see, and again, this isn't a conference game for Colorado, so they still have a path in the Big 12. But I'm curious to see if they can get over the hump of the poor coaching to earn their way, like if the talent can carry the coaching. Which the Big 12 is anybody's game, like I mentioned. So.
Well, like last year, the Big 12 was a 2-bid lead to the college football playoff. So I think I think Kansas State was picked to win the Big 12 preseason, but there is an argument to be made that like Colorado could get there. But I think Kansas State, Iowa State, and Arizona State are the odds out favorites to come out of the Big 12 into the college football playoff. We'll see. Dion, they have gotten better at Colorado every year of Dion being there. And from like what he's done to make that program relevant, it's truly astounding to me. So all eyes are kind of on Colorado now, where they were totally irrelevant before. But it's only one of 11 Power 4 matchups week 1. So like we're not going to talk about Western Illinois at Illinois because who cares?
Luke Altmaier Heisman campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? We should do the same thing with like Nick's NASCAR minute and just let you talk about Illinois. But like we'll roll a wheel to see if your mic is muted. I do want to talk briefly Cincinnati, Nebraska. Arrowhead, Thursday night, primetime game. As a Nebraska fan, I think everyone is gonna like the talk was that it was frustrating. Everyone thought they should have won by more. I don't care. They won the game. They won a close game. They made a game-sealing play at the end of the game. And Cincinnati, I think the consensus among Nebraska fans that they just made up for themselves was that Cincinnati was bad. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is, like, there were scouts there. Like, Sorsby was getting scouted. He made a lot of great plays with his legs. Nebraska was replacing a defensive coordinator. And they're replacing like Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker on the defensive line, who I think Ty is still on a roster, and I'm not sure where Nash, but like the defensive line, I think was the biggest issue for Nebraska. The secondary wasn't tested as much because Sorsby really didn't throw the ball down the field. And I also saw people saying that Raiola looked like he was playing slow. I don't know. I think this is going to be a pretty good Nebraska team. I think maybe Cincinnati's getting not enough credit for how good they could be this year. And, you know, we talked about like conferences being open, like Cincinnati, they're also year 3 head coach as well. So they could make a jump and be contenders as well. But being an Arrowhead, being basically a Husker home game, like I think that was a pretty cool thing to see. There was talks that like there was traffic up Interstate 29, which goes all the way up to Omaha, as far out as like 100 miles from Kansas City, with fans going down there. The Huskers took a bus instead of flying, which is pretty cool. It's like old school college football. But as a Nebraska fan, I'm like tired of playing Power 4 games on the road to start the season, but it was nice to come out with a win.
I think it's like you said. What's really important for Nebraska, it doesn't really matter. It's week 1. Everyone's gonna look maybe a little shaky. It's gonna be sloppy. The fact that they got the win is such a huge start for them because this is their marquee non-con game, and so they get to lay low the next couple weeks. They're gonna beat Akron and Houston Christian. We don't have to worry about that. And then 3 weeks from now, they're gonna be in a home game against Michigan, and if that game can go their way against a Michigan team with a potentially questionable quarterback, then the rest of the Big Ten schedule for Nebraska, like I mentioned last week, is pretty much a breeze up until Penn State at the very end of the season. So
Yeah. I'm always worried about Minnesota. They're a very good coach team. A lot of Husker fans have that as actually their first loss of the year.
and that's but like I mentioned, if they can pull that one out against Michigan, then they get the road game at Minnesota and a road game at Penn State. Even at 10-2, if those 2 games are competitive, there's going to be a conversation about a potential Nebraska playoff game. And
Yeah, and I don't want to get that far ahead already, but winning week 1 is so important for this team. But I've seen Matt Rule. He's been so confident for all of the preseason, and that's not been like him for all of his coaching career so far at Nebraska. So we'll see. That if he's confident, that leads me to think I should be confident because he probably knows they're going to be pretty good. But like, I don't think there's fans that are already concerned. But like last year, I think it was Oregon struggled with Idaho State at the beginning of the year or something like that. And I know they struggled with Boise State. Wisconsin struggled for a while against Miami, Ohio this week. Rutgers struggled against I forgot who that Ohio.
yeah,
Like it was a pretty So it's week 1. The old adage is right that the biggest growth happens between week 1 and 2, and that's going to be true for Nebraska. I would like to move on pretty fast. Just so we can get in before we get into a little baseball talk before we go into this week's slate of college football. Kyle Schwarber. Whew. I think he's 1 homer shy of Cal Raleigh, unless he tied him yesterday. 4 home run game.
He's at 49. I checked this yesterday, I think.
So did he tie Raleigh?
No, I think Raleigh's at 50.
No, Raleigh got 50.
Raleigh got 50. Schwarber's at 49. So he is right behind him. But 4 home runs in 1 game.
I believe for the second time this season.
Yes.
Third.
I think
Third.
Maybe
It was Suarez, Kurtz, and Schwarber.
Oh,
Christ.
We got 3 in 1 season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we got 3 in 1 season. It's crazy.
And it's still.
And there's
I believe
only
it's-
like I think there's like 24 all time.
Yeah.
It's
something like
it's in the
that.
20s.
But
It's insane, dude.
it's still more rare than a perfect game at this
Oh, yeah.
point. But at this rate, that's going to change in the next year, 2 years maybe, because pitchers aren't going deep into games nearly as often, and obviously guys are going home run hunting far more often than they had in the past. It's crazy
So
how the game of baseball has changed in 15 years. Where
The
we're
last
seeing all these
the last time there was a single player to hit 4 home runs in a game, you have to go all the way back to 2017.
Scooter Gennett.
But yes,
JD so it was JD Martinez and Scooter Jeanette did it in 2017.
I remember
and
that
then
Scooter game.
Back in 2002, there was also 2 players that did it in the same season, but those are the last 2. The fact that there's been 3 this year is pretty crazy.
And he almost hit 5 if they had a position player coming into the bottom of the 8th pitching, and Kyle Schwarber just hit a pop-up. So they had a possibility of hitting 5 in one day. Yeah, he had.
That's how Kurtz was too. He was like just a couple feet away from 5 home runs as well.
Like, just
At
thinking
Minute
about
Maid.
that is crazy.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
hit
I
off
want to talk.
the giant wall at Minute Maid in left field.
I want
Could
to
have been
talk about
going.
the NL MVP race now, because for maybe the
Yeah.
last month or so, after we saw the decline in production from the Cubs that were in it, like Tucker and PCA had a rough month. It
They're still
was
having a rough
Otani.
month.
Otani was separating from the pack, but Schwarber was like creeping in, and then he goes 4 home runs on Thursday night. I'm looking at the numbers. I don't like. I understand Otani's pitching, but he's not going deep into games yet. Like he's not throwing 5 or 6 innings in any games. So, like Schwarber has what 49 home runs now. He has 119 RBIs, which I know is an old school way to look at it. But Shohei has 45. He's not stealing bases the same way he did last year. The OPS is a 50-point difference in Otani's favor. So, are we? Where do you guys stand on the MVP race in the NL right now? Do we think that Schwarber has a greater than 40% chance to win it at this point, or do we think
I think it's less than 40. I think
okay?
there's a discussion to be made. I think it's less than 40 though. I don't see the voters not picking Otani.
I think it's
Sonny?
hard. I think it's going to be Otani, but like my opinion is we've seen Schwarber pop off in the postseason. We haven't seen Schwarber postseason yet. So, I mean, like coming down to it, like he's just had 4 home runs, but we still got like what? I don't know how many games left of the season, like 3 weeks
About
or
30.
4 weeks, something like that. So, we could see this turn around like this like instantly because Schwarber's going to lock in. They have postseason coming up. He might lock in a little early and just start hitting nukes again. You know. So I mean, because we've
I
seen it every year.
Yeah.
Like Schwarber pops off at a certain moment.
I
And
think
We'll
I'm
see
just
how September plays out. I didn't know Otani had that many home runs. I thought he was in the 30s.
I thought Otani had way less than that.
Otani's at yeah, Otani you said Otani's at 42,
45.
Graham?
Really?
45? Yeah,
45
it's
home
it's gonna
runs.
be Otani. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Otani.
It's gonna be hard to
from a
beat Otani.
strictly WAR perspective, it's going to be hard to even catch Otani,
Yeah.
just because he
Yeah.
does play two positions. But the fact that he's in the top 10 of probably both in Major League Baseball. Like I think every MLB fan, like there's the thought if you're not a Dodger fan, you want it to be somebody that isn't Otani. But there is, and every year somebody will be like, well, if Otani didn't exist, this person would have won it. But everyone says it every year. So I think that's an irrelevant argument as well. I would like it to be Schwarber, but Schwarber maybe he wasn't as productive first half as well. And then Otani's been productive relatively all season, and now he's pitching. Like he was having an MVP level season as just a DH. Now, if Aaron Judge was in the NL, this would be incredible. Then you're the argument of if Otani didn't exist or if Judge didn't exist, then this person would have won every other year. That would take hold. But Sunkit, to your point, I'm excited for Schwarber in the postseason. Last time we saw Citizens Bank Park with full for a postseason game, there were some really iconic moments that came out of it.
Oh, 100%.
Just think like Bryce
I don't-
Harper, even though he's getting older, Bryce Harper and Schwarber and like there
Trey
could be
Turner,
some
they still have
great
Real
moments.
Muto.
Yeah, Trey Turner. Yeah.
Bryson, yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
I don't know
raise-
what to think of the Phillies, man, because Wheeler he got shut down, didn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
done for the year. That
Yeah,
has changed in the past week.
They
So
got
that
an uphill
rotation-
battle when it comes to their pitching for
The
sure.
rotation is deep, but they don't. Without Wheeler, they don't have a true number one guy, and so that
But-
is
well,
going to be.
Alvarado, he's going to be suspended for the postseason too, right?
I'd imagine.
I think he is. So they got an uphill battle, but they'll be fun to watch.
Let me raise this hypothetical going back to the MVP discussion. You said if Judge was in the NL, we'd have a debate. What about Cal Raleigh? If Cal Raleigh was in the NL, do we think he's walking away with the MVP? Or do we think
Yes.
there's a debate?
It's more of a discussion for sure.
I think he's gonna walk away with it in the AL.
You think he's going to be Judge?
He,
I
well,
think
yeah,
he- I
he's
think-
he's gonna
I
he'll,
think-
he'll be Judge. I think he'll
I
be
think
Judge.
he's gonna beat Judge.
I can understand the argument
Hitting
because
50 homers as a catcher is insane.
he
That's-
does
that's
so many
crazy.
things so well because he's this power bat from both sides. He's hit, I believe, he's hit 30 home runs from the left side and 20 from the right. Like
Which
he
is
doesn't
insane.
have a weak side of the plate, and he's hit these 20 home runs in like less than 200 plate appearances. So he's a switch hitting catcher, and he's a really good defensive catcher too. He's like top 10 in the league in framing. Like all the catcher defensive metrics have him as a premier guy in the league, and he's doing it.
I don't know.
He's DH'd only 30 times, so he's not taking days off. When he's not, he's always in the lineup whether or not he's catching. Judge's offensive numbers are better, and that's important. And he is at least playing in the field. But right now, he's dealing.
I
with
would argue though, to a team, defensively, the catcher position is more important than playing in the outfield.
Absolutely.
Um,
Oh yes.
100%.
Yeah,
Now-
100%.
I will say, like, if you compare just like some of the just base like offensive stats, like Judge is walking away. His OPS is 1105, and Cal Raleigh is 940. OPS plus for Cal Raleigh is 166, and then Aaron Judge is over 200 at 203. Right now, the only big difference is Raleigh's doing it from the catcher position and has more home runs overall.
That's
What?
Judge.
I don't even know the Mariners' record right now. Are they in the playoff hunt?
Yeah, they're 10 over, I believe. I don't know what they did last night, but I think
Yeah,
as of
like-
right now, they would get the last wild card spot in the AL.
If you compare the impact that Raleigh has had on the Mariners, you compare the impact that Raleigh's had on the Mariners versus, I mean, obviously Judge would have a huge impact on the Yankees if he was injured, but Mariners are probably a bottom 5 team in the AL without Raleigh playing. So
That lineup, year in, year out, that Mariners lineup has had its struggles because
Yes.
Julio Rodriguez is not quite the offensive player that we thought he would blossom into. And outside of him, like, they traded for Randy Rosarena last year. He's been really good, but there's just not a ton of depth in that lineup. And now that Cal Raleigh is a legit power threat, hitting 50 home runs, that's huge. And again, like I mentioned, he's really doing a good job of making that pitching staff elite. Guys like Luis Castillo, George Kirby, and Brian Wu are probably, they're thankful to have a guy like Cal Raleigh behind the plate as well. And that's a good rotation when we head into the postseason, where a team like the Mariners could end up stealing a wild card series and beating the Astros if they get a divisional game in that first round, or whoever they might match up with.
for sure, yeah, they remind me of like the past couple years, the Rays surprising everyone when it comes to wild card matchups and stuff like that, because pitching, they let their pitching carry them in the postseason. So yeah, he's a huge impact for them for sure. MVP.
I think it's interesting that aside from Cal Raleigh, because Judge is hurt and dealing with an arm injury, I believe, and so he's being stuck in the DH role, and Stanton's got to play the outfield now, which is funny. But you've got your three of your 4 best players offensively in baseball right now are all playing DH, and like Schwarber's not playing the field, Ohtani doesn't play the field, Judge isn't playing the field. 10 years ago, those guys wouldn't even be considered for an MVP because they aren't giving you any defensive impact. The game's changed to the point where that doesn't even matter nearly as much whenever your offensive production is carrying the load like it has been. But
American
we'll get
League
more.
American League is wide open too.
Yeah.
Be
Looking
very
more
surprised
into-
if a National League team does not win the World Series this year.
I'm
I'd be
curious
very
to
shocked.
see how the teams that don't have the playoff pedigree, like the Detroit Tigers, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Milwaukee Brewers, these teams that don't have these star players but are dominant in the regular season right now. I think the three best teams in baseball. Is their season going to carry over into the playoffs compared to a teams like the Dodgers, the Phillies,
Right.
the Cubs that have these stars?
Yeah.
The
Yeah. And
Yankees.
because of that pedigree, I'd probably the Astros as the favorite right now to come out of the American League with
It's kind of feeling like
getting
the Astros
Correa
right now
back and
if they can
yeah.
get healthy. If Jordan
Well,
can
yeah,
come back
I
and
saw Jordan came back recently, so you just keep him in the batter's box, and yeah, you're chilling.
all
So
right, Brennan's gone. We're working on getting him back in, but I'll slide it over to let's talk a little Ryder Cup very briefly before we get into the week one slate and finish out with that. Matt and Sonny are both golf guys. I want to start with the Keegan Bradley dialogue. He's the captain. He's been playing very well to wrap up the tour. He had the opportunity to be the first playing captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team in like 65 years since like Arnold Palmer did it,
Yes.
and he had every right to do so, and he chose not to. I want to get your thoughts on that, Matt, as someone who's more plugged in than I am.
So I think there's a bunch of ways that you can look at this. First off, I think that the reason that Keegan Bradley is the United States team captain is because of how badly he got shafted 2 years ago for not making the team when Zach Johnson was the coach. And so it kind of always has felt like him being chosen as the team captain was a gift, and then kind of being almost like an I'm sorry to him, because he did deserve to be on the team 2 years ago. That obviously didn't happen, so now they gave him the opportunity to choose his team. Now, if Keegan Bradley wasn't the Ryder Cup team captain, he would have been on the team. Like, he would have been selected by whoever else choice it was to select a team. I think he finished maybe ninth or 10th in points for Ryder Cup team rankings, so he would have been a captain's pick, but he definitely would have qualified. He had an insane win at the Travelers against Tommy Fleetwood. As far as Keegan Bradley not choosing himself, I do think it was the correct choice. I think it's hard to do both, and if he were to choose himself, that puts a lot of pressure on him internally, and it also kind of takes some of the eyes away from all the other guys on the team. So I do agree with him not choosing himself, but I almost feel bad that he doesn't get to play in it, because had he not accepted the captain nomination, I know Rory said that he's been asked to play as a playing captain before, and he's always denied that. But I don't know. I think that he did make the right choice.
I mean,
What are
Keegan
your thoughts
Bradley.
on
I
it?
mean, like I just looked it up. He is 39 years old, and then he's also the captain. So at the same time, he is putting too much pressure on himself at the same time. And don't get me wrong, I think he should be in there. I loved it, but making that call too really hurt. I'm really shocked about that too. I really thought Keegan Bradley should have been on there, but you know what? It is his call, and I do like his pick though. I do like his upcoming picks. They're giving these guys more of a shot, and these guys are young, so we might see them in the next Ryder Cup. You know, we're gonna
And
see them in the seasons.
he did mention that he had made that choice, that he wasn't going to choose himself a while ago. I'm surprised that he never said anything, because it always felt like people were on the fences in terms of thinking of whether or not he would choose himself. I think that if he would have came out earlier and said that he's not going to pick himself, uh, it wouldn't. I mean, it obviously wouldn't have been as surprising, and
No,
come captain's pick day, we would have had a more clear view of who was going to play on the team.
I mean, also, how do you feel about Team USA?
I I mean, when the tournament comes around, I'm obviously going to be rooting for Team USA, but
Oh, for sure.
I think that we're going to get smoked. Like if I were to place a bet on it, 2 years ago, if you would have asked me the same question, I would have thought that the USA guys would uh, go into Rome and crush the
Yeah.
European guys because 2 years ago they were all like really young guys, pretty unexperienced in terms of Ryder Cup, a lot of first time players, and they slaughtered Team USA. It's
Yeah.
virtually the same team. I think it's Rasmus Højgaard instead of Nikolai Højgaard. But it's pretty much the same team led by the same guy. I mean, Luke Donald is an incredible team captain. Um, I think that they're stacked. I don't think it looks good for Team USA.
It doesn't, and I was looking at the top 10 for people for the European, like, because they haven't made their 6th round pick. They got Shane Lowry still, Ludwig Oberg, Matt Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland still. Like, those guys are unreal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, their captains picks I would say stack up well against our automatic qualifiers.
yeah, like they like looking at our team and then looking at their team. It's no hands down. I feel like Team Europe is probably gonna pull it off, but do I want to vote for the under? I'm gonna vote for Team USA. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna want Bryson on the first tee box, send it
Hmm
400 yards. Just I'm gonna want that, but going against
Yeah,
Team Europe is not possible.
absolutely. And at the end of the day, the Ryder Cup has the biggest home team advantage in any tournament in all of sports. So as long as you're in the United States, you always feel like we have a chance. Keegan Bradley has played that course his entire life. He knows the course inside and out. I think he'll be a very valuable team captain. I think another um, bonus or benefit of him not choosing himself is that he will be able to be boots on the ground, talking to every player, being able to give advice when needed. Because I mean, Bethpage Black is probably one of the hardest courses in the United States of America. I mean, we
Yeah.
saw Oakmont this year in the U.S. Open, but Bethpage Black is a monster, and him being so experienced there, I think, will give us a massive advantage. Um, but I mean, the European team is they've played together pretty much for 2 years now. Justin Rose is an absolute stud come Ryder Cup time. He's
Oh,
not getting any younger, but still, whenever the Ryder Cup rolls around, he's a monster.
I mean, what was he? He was runner up for trying to fight Rory for the Masters this year. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
and talk about Rory. Fleetwood just won. So I mean, just looking at the 6 guys they have right now is very terrifying to go against our 12 right now, and they still haven't made their 6 other picks. So it
Yeah.
is
I remember. Yeah, I remember 2 years ago, whenever the Ryder Cup was rolling around, Ludwig Oberg was kind of
yes.
like no one really knew who he was. Golfer out
Yeah.
of Texas Tech, and then he lights up Team USA in the Ryder Cup 2 years ago. Goes on, has incredible finishes of the last 2 Masters. Played really well in all the majors. Another guy that no one's really thinking about is Terrell Hatton because he's on Live. He's not playing in all the signature events that everyone else is
Oh,
watching. He's
yeah.
only playing in majors, but every time he does play in a major, he always has a really good finish. And I think he'll be another guy too that might smoke a bunch of the American players.
100%. I mean, I understand that. Yeah, yeah. It's just one of those things where I don't know how we're gonna pull it off, but I'm always rooting for the underdog.
That's the thing. Oh, Brendan, you're muted.
Brendan is still muted.
Still muted.
I feel like, yeah, sorry. I feel like this is you whenever we asked you about the NFL earlier. Like, that's
Oh.
me right now. I have no idea what's going on here. But I hope you guys are having fun.
I think
Happy Gilmore 2 sucked.
I still haven't
That's my
watched it.
take.
think when the U.S. can be an underdog on their home turf, I think that's sneaky an advantage that Keegan Bradley and the vice captains can play into. Is like, even though we should be the favorites, we're not. We're being disrespected. That's something that we can use as a rallying point, as bulletin board material, and it makes America more fun to root for whenever you've got guys like JJ Spawn who kind of popped up out of nowhere in the last year, wins a U.S. Open, and he's just an easy guy to root for because he's just like another everyday guy. Like he's someone that you would probably enjoy having a conversation with.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that this year's Ryder Cup team is a lot more under the radar, kind of like have those JJ Spawn guys like Harris English, Ben Griffin, guys like that. It seemed like 2 years ago we really had like heavy hitters like Spieth obviously isn't on the team this year. Max Homa has had a pretty poor last 2 years, so he didn't qualify. It seems like we have a lot of guys that played really well but aren't in that like high name group, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
we got a lot of guys that trying to prove themselves, I think.
Yes, I agree with that, and I do think that that'll help.
Oh, 100%. They're sleepers. They know they're sleepers. So they want to go out there and they're going to just like even having Team USA, they're going to have so many people backing them up now. Like they are going to have the confidence. They're going to want to come out there and just put on a lights out show. I feel like that fire is already there. That they're already the underdogs at home. So they have that fire and will to win this game. But I mean,
And I think that 200,000 angry New Yorkers can get us over the bridge in that front. Like, my dream Ryder Cup scenario is listening to a Rory McIlroy interview after the Friday four-ball match.
yes.
Him whining and complaining about, oh, the fans are mean and, like, they're yelling at me and all that stuff. Like, that would
Stealing
make
someone's
my
phone. Are we playing Freebird every time an American hits a shot under par? Is that what we're doing?
Oh,
that a good
gosh.
strategy?
I would love that. I mean,
I
because
would too. I'd watch.
I mean, I'm seeing clips on TikTok of like Team Europe just like of the past, just them shooting like their them winning it and then just showboating how they're gonna walk all over Team USA, and I would love for us just to come out and just wipe them. That would be great.
Let's spend the last half hour or so. Let's break down this slate of college football that we're going to get here starting in about an hour with the game of the season happening in week 1. Texas and Ohio State's going to open it up. Go ahead, Jake. What?
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
So, on a day like today, as a 22-year-old male, I wake up and I feel more excited than I do on Christmas morning now as an adult man. I was just wondering, is that controversial? Am I the only one that feels like that, or am I not alone in this feeling of excitement when I wake up and see a college slate like today on the ESPN app? It's more exciting than Christmas morning. Is that frowned upon?
I don't think you're wrong.
No, not one bit.
All right, good.
I would say
Because
like,
I am a pretty controversial guy, so I didn't know if I was adding to the controversy that surrounds my life, but I'm glad I'm not alone.
You should keep going. Keep talking about how controversial you are.
Yes. Please.
Yeah, I think I'm already too thick in the woods on that one, just bringing it up. So
Let's talk Texas Ohio State. So we've got Arch Manning making his third start of his career, coming into the season as the Heisman favorite, whether that's warranted or not. He played, I don't know, how many snaps did he play against Ohio State in the semi last year? It was just a couple, but he was concussed in that game. First action since that game, since Ohio State ended their season last year. But they're coming in as the number 1 team on the road. OSU at home, 1.5-point favorites. What are we expecting to see in this game?
I still expect Jeremiah Smith to be the best player on the field. Like that's my take on it. Like last year as a freshman, there was almost no game that he played that he wasn't better than most of the other people on the field, if not all. He's a game-changing kind of player. So that it'll all depend on, to me, it's like how good is the Ohio State offense? Are they going to score enough? Because and really, how is Arch Manning going to play? Because third start in college at the shoe, like he's not getting this start against Western Illinois at home to kind of see how things go. Like they've been, of course, practicing against each other, and Texas is number one, but it's different. Like when you get into these Power Four road games against a team like Ohio State coming off a national championship. So the I'm expecting Ohio State to maybe pull out in front early, and then we'll see if Texas can catch up from behind. I think it will factor in that this is at Ohio State. And I was I would, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
So I think just with it being at Ohio State, I think that they were talking about how it was the first time in college football history that the number one ranked team in the nation has been the underdog in their week one game. So just the fact that that game is happening in Columbus, and it's Arch Manning's first game of his season, like this is his Texas team now. I think it being in Columbus will be really difficult for him.
Yeah, but it's not. Ohio State's not favored heavily at all. I think last I checked,
it's
close. 1.5.
It's 1.5.
Yeah.
Which I think 1.5 is typically, when you look at like betting lines, that's generally about the advantage you get from being at home.
1.5, 2.5.
Right around there.
Yeah.
Right. So really, I think what this says is if this was neutral, this is a toss-up game.
Let's pick 'em.
So we'll see if it factors in. We saw like with Nebraska, Cincinnati, like the crowd advantage. I think Cincinnati had 3 false starts that derailed drives, so that could factor in too. Like being in Columbus, we'll see. Ohio State, it's hard to count them out at all. So I think that they're going to pull in front early. If Texas's offense just comes out and looks polished, like mid-season form, then maybe this is a different conversation. But man, I'm excited.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know what to think.
In this spot, the past couple years, from what we've seen, Ohio State in the past, like the Urban Meyer era and now the Ryan Day era, has not been great in the high leverage non-conference game against Power 4 opponents. Whereas we saw last year with Texas under Sark, in week 2, they go into the big house at Michigan in week 2, and they just dominate the defending champs, who weren't great, but that was a high leverage game on the road that they were able to go in and win. So I think I'm going to lean Texas to win this one on the road, even with all the question marks on both sides, especially at the quarterback position. I do feel more comfortable in betting on Arch Manning than I do on betting on Julian Sayin at the current moment. What about you, James?
With all those question marks, I don't think anything could surprise me in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams are sloppy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a shootout. I wouldn't even be surprised if a team ends up winning by 2 touchdowns. Either team. We don't know. That's the beauty of week 1. We get to find out in less than an hour what these teams are made
that's
of.
A point. That's a point I was going to make too.
What an insane game to kick off the season. So I'm excited.
Wouldn't it be awesome if we saw both of these 2 teams later in the season in the playoff again? Like just to see like that. It's almost like that would be kind of a test of like this is how like you can progress as the season goes, because I'm sure because it's week 1, similar to Kansas State, Iowa State, there will be jitters and there will be some errors that are made. So, but the fact that this is a home game for Ohio State today, I think that might give them the edge just because of this early season. But I'm pretty excited about it. And I know it's big noon kickoff, which we talked about on the last podcast, how it stinks that this isn't a night game. But I know there's a lot. Hi, Austin.
Hey, what's
there's a
up?
lot. there's a lot riding on this, but it's also nice now with the expanded playoff that whoever loses this game isn't out.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Is
No.
like we've seen like the games last night and Thursday where you watch Colorado or Baylor or Cincinnati, those teams lose their week 1 game to a lesser opponent, maybe not lesser, but not a top 10 team. Their seasons are being like their playoff chances are being diminished because of that loss. But in this like high leverage slate of games we have today, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Miami, Clemson, LSU, none of those teams are really going to be hurt with a week 1 loss. You don't get punished nearly as much for scheduling well in the expanded playoff era of college football. And I think that's who that really benefits is the fans, because we're going to get more important non-con games early on in the season than what, because teams were afraid that if they lose that big game, maybe they're going to be left out of a 14 playoff. Now that it's 12, we're getting better
Kurt
games.
Signetti is fuming.
That's yeah, and
He'll make the argument Old Dominion is Power 4.
The Sun Belt's a good league. It's a good league. I also think a lot of what is important in week 1 is coaching, and even though Ryan Day is the defending national champion, I'm also willing to say I have more trust in Steve Sarkisian to be ready for the moment, have his team ready for week 1 than I am for. Okay, Austin disagrees. Let's see what his thoughts are.
So I know I'm joining in late, so I'm gonna catch up real quick. Dude, I hate the Green Bay Packers. I mean, oh my gosh, I hate the Green Bay Packers. And like, I know we're reverting back, but
Hey, Austin, what team are you a fan of?
Man, why you gotta put me on the spot, bro? Yeah, I'm a Bears fan, all right? Yeah, sue me.
Yeah,
sue me.
I feel
He's
like
not
that.
the only one. He's not the only one here.
All right? And
Down.
it sucks because I think that the Bears are going into the season as one of the more improved teams in football. And then oh my God, dude. I'm pissed because the one thing that could ruin a Bears season is I don't know who the hell's starting at left tackle because Ben Johnson is just, hey, somebody's going to have the job. No shit, Ben Johnson. Okay. One thing that's going to do that is
I think him going in and out of having service is making this funny.
It is. I think this is better.
Oh, this is making it way better. I'm loving it.
Oh,
my gosh. Am I
driving
not?
with earbuds on.
Damn it.
Optimus.
Yeah, you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
That's what
man.
you
Let
said
it out, buddy,
when you
let
saw
it
the
out.
trade.
I was pissed. Oh
I'm
my
gonna
gosh, because
He lost service again.
Oh man, this is brilliant podcast.
All right.
I
right.
love this.
Be like, all right, so now let's turn it over to Nick's NASCAR minute. Oh, but he's not here.
Let's do. Okay, so let's wrap up final thoughts on Ohio State, Texas. Who's winning the game today, Brendan?
I would have to agree with you, Graham. I think Texas is going to pull it out. I think they're going to look sloppy, and I think their offense is going to be a little sloppy in the first quarter, but yeah, I think they get it done.
I'm gonna go a little more high scoring. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 28-24, Ohio State.
Okay, Sonny.
I don't mind that.
I'm gonna take Ohio State.
Okay, the home team wins.
By
What
how
decision?
much?
Do they cover 1.5? I'm assuming yes.
Man, 1.5 on a college football line is like who's gonna win? Like that's it.
It's basically a pick 'em. All right, let's talk briefly. Let's do Alabama, Florida State, 2:30 Central on ABC. Alabama is a 14.5 point favorite going into Doak Campbell on the road against the Florida State team, coming off just a horrific season last year. But new quarterback, who has been throwing out some words about the Alabama program the past couple weeks. We'll see if he's ready for the moment. We'll see if Ty Simpson is ready for the moment, making
Yeah,
at
that's the
least his
biggest
first
question.
start as an Alabama quarterback. A lot of again, week one. There's going to be a lot of question marks. What are we expecting to see, Jake?
Well, we're gonna see a lot of overreaction for a lot of these games that happen today. Like people are gonna overreact about Texas, Ohio State. Um, both those teams are not gonna get derailed by a loss in that game. This, however, is a game to overreact about. If we watch Florida State somehow squeak out or in defining fashion beat Alabama after their horrendous season last year, it's time to panic in Tuscaloosa. It is
That's
definitely
insane.
time to panic. Um, I People are going to be pissed at DeBoer, and honestly, it's valid. I think it's valid to be pissed about him if they cannot get a win today at Florida State after that horrendous season last year. There's going to be overreaction, and I can't wait. I will have my popcorn ready. If Bama wins this game in defining fashion, I think that's also valid for an overreaction. I think if Ty Simpson this is a very tough, sneaky week one matchup for a quarterback like Ty Simpson, who is having to prove himself. He's got to go prove it against a big team like Florida State on the road in Tallahassee. This is meh. I don't know if I'd put this more exciting than LSU Clemson, but this is probably my second favorite game to tune into today. Just 'cause there's a lot riding on this game for both teams. So
Yeah,
Ty
I think
Simpson, good.
I think it might be close early. I think Alabama pulls away at the end. But I think if at halftime this is a touchdown game, would not be surprised. Um, I will say Florida State new defensive coordinator. They're bringing some guys over. Of course, he came from Nebraska, which is the only reason I know that. I don't really care otherwise about Florida State football. But I will say the the run game defense that Tony White runs, like Alabama, I think might struggle to run the football. Just because knowing that how that defense functions, like that was a strength of Tony White's defenses in the past. So um, I think that puts a little bit more pressure on Alabama at the quarterback position. But I think this will not be a one touchdown game by the end, and I think Alabama is a winner. So we'll just put it that way.
Ty Simpson, I don't know if you guys remember this game, but whenever I think the first thought I have when I think of Ty Simpson, 2 years ago, Alabama is in a dogfight with an unranked, not good South Florida team at Raymond James, like in Tampa,
yep.
and they
Saban lost
benched
approximately 80 hair follicles that game.
they benched Milrow at the start of the game and started Tyler Buckner. He doesn't get it done. They go back to Milrow. He doesn't get it done. And Ty Simpson comes in and finishes that game, puts together the drive that ices it at the end. That's what I'm curious to see what level of competition Ty Simpson's ready for. Because all of last
Hmm
year, the only time he ever got any game action was in blowouts. And so
hmm
is he going
Hey,
to
he's
be tuned up for a to start
yeah,
a game against a what could be a decent Power 14?
and he should be expected to because he's a system quarterback, which is ultra rare in today's NIL college football. So
That's the thing too
he,
is we
he's
saw
expected to get it done. The fans are definitely expecting him. They got high expectations for him. So we'll see if
When
he
did they
shows up.
not at Alabama?
yeah
That is true, but I mean,
the last time Alabama went into a season without a quarterback that they felt super confident in. Well, I guess maybe the first Milrow season in 23, but Mac Jones in 2020 after coming off a couple years of Jalen Hurts and then some really dominant years of Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, The next year, they handed over to Mac Jones, who'd been waiting his turn to be the quarterback, similar to Ty Simpson. And Mac Jones, you could argue, should have won the Heisman that year. They gave it to Devontae Smith because he had an unreal receiver season. But Mac Jones, it was his job to distribute the ball to Devontae Smith that whole year, and he was unreal. So I'm not saying that
Yeah.
Ty Simpson is going to be Mac Jones, but that's kind of it. You're seeing similarities, and I'm sure Alabama fans are hoping that that's what happens because that's probably the best case scenario for the quarterback system. But
Yeah, and I
Kalen
mean,
DeBoer,
he's. Go ahead.
Kalen DeBoer is an offensive mind. We've known that, but Alabama fans have gotten so spoiled, and I don't want to necessarily say entitled, but having Nick Saban as the leader of your program for 15 years, you start to take things for granted. And Kalen DeBoer last year not making the playoff, but still like coaching a legit top 15 team for the whole year. That's not enough. And like you said, if they're in a dogfight, if they happen to lose this game, his head's going to be on a stake in
Oh.
Tuscaloosa.
Oh,
And
oh man.
even if they
If they
want to
lose
finish
this
out the
game.
season well, his job is certainly not safe with a loss to a non like SEC contender. But I would imagine we're probably all still going to rock with Alabama to win this game if we had to predict right now.
I think
But
I
Yeah,
think
I
there's
think
way too
Bama.
many question marks about Florida State right now.
yeah, do
I
we
think
think
Bama wins.
a line at 14.5 in favor of Alabama on the road? I think it might be like a sneaky backdoor cover for Alabama. They may put it out, get it to 17 or 21 at the end of the fourth quarter with like a late touchdown to seal it, but I don't think it's going to play like a 2-touchdown game, if I had to guess right now.
I feel like we'll just see some of the sloppiness either way. Like, would we be shocked if Florida State had 3 turnovers in the first half?
No, I would not.
Like, that was the kind of like they had issues like that just plagued them last year. So, I mean, I feel like there's just so many questions that like it would be stupid to not pick Alabama to cover. So I'm gonna pick them to cover.
Weather's not going to be a problem. I just checked.
And I
It's
feel
not gonna
like
be
it I
raining.
will be pleasantly surprised if it's not.
All right, let's move to the nightcap on ABC tonight. LSU at Clemson, another potential playoff preview, I guess. And
Who
I
has
think,
the real Death Valley?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Death Valley Tiger Bowl.
LSU hasn't won a week 1 since Burrow.
That's true because they played Florida State.
These
back
are
in the
facts.
years.
These
Who
are
they play last
facts.
year? Because they didn't lose them last year.
Who did they play last year? They didn't win.
open with a
I know
loss.
that.
A
I think
lot
we
since-
mentioned on previous episodes, but like this is a pretty big game for Brian Kelly too.
I think this is Kalen DeBoer, Brian Kelly are both coaches that I think
Yeah.
you don't want to say it out loud, but I think they're both coaching for their job this season.
Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go compete for a national championship and then watch Notre Dame play in the national championship last year. So he's got to get it done, man.
They've played in one legitimate high leverage game where they would have a chance to win a national title the whole time. He got a big win against Alabama back in 23, I think, maybe 22. But they played in the SEC championship game, got just embarrassed by Georgia. But outside of that, the Brian Kelly LSU team has never been a team that's been in position to win a title. And this year, with the quarterback coming back, I think that they have an argument to be in that position. Obviously, they're coming into the season with a top 10 ranking. Last year, I just checked, they lost to USC.
What
Remember that
you know,
game.
we'll see.
USC, yeah.
We'll
Oh,
see.
I said
And-
we'll see, but
Yeah. The
Yeah, they played UFC or USC week 1 last year.
They did, and they lost by a
yeah, in
touchdown.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's another thing. I feel like since we talked last week, the hype train around the Clemson Tigers has been just rolling. Like they're just building all this momentum. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they are their preseason title favorites. And I think from this point last week, we were talking about maybe Clemson is flying under the radar to now this week. I think they're probably overhyped. And I know Austin's, I don't know if we're going to get Austin or not, but he's high on Klubnik. He's high on Clemson. And this is a prove it moment for the Clemson Tigers right in week one. And again, it's not like it's going to end their season if they lose. But let's see if we
Well,
get
this
Austin's thoughts.
this game matters a lot for them because let's just say the ACC competition outside of a couple teams isn't that great.
True.
So, I mean, it's certainly not the Big Ten and SEC. Like, those are by far the best two conferences.
So, so my question is, so what happens if FSU beats Alabama? Then do we look at the ACC differently with Clemson, Miami, and then FSU? And so it's like, okay, the ACC actually might be a super fun conference in college football.
I don't think
Who's
after
saying that?
week one.
What are we doing?
We have a
I
look
think it'd be an overreaction. I think it'd still be an overreaction unless FSU wins by defining fashion.
I mean, Alabama
it's-
is by no means, even if they were to lose to FSU, I mean, that's a good Alabama team. Alabama's, the way that they recruit, the way they've always recruited, they're just going to have good rosters. And,
I don't think they're
I
don't think they're the top of the SEC though. So
no, absolutely not. But the SEC
if Florida
is
State went out there and beat Texas or Georgia, right? Like this is a different conversation.
Then that's a different ballpark.
Then you
for
can
sure.
really say like the ACC is a force. But like I think, is it weird to say that Alabama might be the third or fourth best team in the SEC?
I think fourth is reasonable. I think that's probably where I'd put
But
them.
yeah, I mean, it could be Mizzou could even eclipse them as well. I mean, we don't know
Depends on
yet. Like we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Your thoughts on Texas A&M, but Alabama, I'd be more likely to put them in the LSU A&M tier than I would be in the Georgia Texas tier at this point.
I mean, I just think that's a testament to how good the SEC is as well. So even though, yes, FSU be beating, let's say the fourth best team in the SEC, that's still, especially looking at what happened last season, I don't think it makes ACC a powerhouse by any means, but I do think that it does make things more interesting with a really top-heavy ACC with Clemson. I obviously Cade Klubnik's the best player in the country. So, I mean, how he's not the favorite to win Heisman, I know we've talked about it before. Mind-boggling because we just mentioned that Arch Manning's going to his third over, right? Like, I mean, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? And so, and I think Miami is sneaky good. I think Carson Beck bounces back. And I do think the ACC will be fun. I wouldn't consider them a powerhouse by any means, but I think if FSU was to come out and beat Alabama, it definitely makes things interesting.
I think they're just top heavy, Austin.
Yes.
That's like the Big 12
Yeah.
may have a lot more depth.
Makes
as,
things
like, the third conference, but the ACC has the high end talent that the Big 12 does not, and so.
Yeah,
whatever you prefer, you can put as the third best conference in America. I think the ACC has a chance to have a title contender. The Big 12 absolutely does not.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I'd say.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Big 12 has no chance.
Clemson's a 4.5-point favorite tonight. I think I'm probably gonna personally. I just don't have the trust in Brian Kelly to get it done. As much as I like Garrett Nussmeier and think he could be the Heisman guy, Brian Kelly has just let me down time and time and again as a coach, and I think I'm more willing to trust Dabo Swinney in a week 1 spot than I am Brian Kelly.
Dabo got
What are
that
your
drip.
thoughts, Jake?
Uh, I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. Um, I wouldn't count out LSU. Uh, I Brian Kelly is a disappointment most of the time when it comes to games and situations like this. Um, I don't know. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be another one of those games that it's not going to derail either team losing this game. They're really going to have to shoot themselves in the foot in conference play if they want to do that. So I'm just hoping for good football. But yeah, I'd agree that Clemson's going to get it done.
Yeah, I think if LSU scores early and takes the crowd out of the game, then I think they have a chance. But if this is close at the end, like we talked about how generally being at home sways the line a little bit, like about 1.5. So this is a pretty close game. So we're saying this is a field goal margin for Clemson. And in week 1 with mistakes and nobody being totally polished, like I feel like a field goal margin is basically nothing. So I think this is going to be a great game. The whole slate today is awesome. I've got Clemson's gonna get it done at home. I think that'll really be like a mark for the ACC to get the season started. And we'll see how Cade Klubnik plays. Since Austin's so high, I know we'll be texting during the game. If he has a rough game, I'm gonna let you hear it, Austin.
I mean, I don't understand why we would even consider him having a rough game. I don't know why we're jumping to conclusions here. He could. I mean,
I know.
I don't know.
Got a thought.
I'm.
He's playing LSU. That's possible. They're good.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I mean, did
think
we watch him
maybe-
play against Texas last year? I think he had a pretty. Hey, he kept Clemson in the game, and a way bigger game than it is week 1. So and this is a better Clemson team. I wouldn't say they're better. It's relatively the same Clemson team. They're just another year developed, another year together. I think Klubnik plays fine. I do think LSU. I mean, I agree. I agree with all these statements about LSU. LSU's not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, and definitely a playoff caliber team. But I'm taking Clemson covering the spread. I mean, I'm super high on Clemson. And this is a huge week 1 for the ACC. I know that there's, Miami, what they
Oh, there it is.
Alabama, and
So that's what happens when you start talking about Miami. Your signal goes out.
I think last thought I'll have on this game before we get to Miami Notre Dame. I think 57.5 is. I think we're gonna stay way under 57.5. Like I could see this game being in the low 20s, possibly. I'm happy to be wrong. I know LSU is an offensive-minded team, and we've got arguably the 2 best quarterbacks in the nation facing off against each other. But I could see there being a lot. Again, week 1 sloppy. I think 57.5 is a high number, and I could see this game being more of a slop fest for 3 quarters, and then we get.
Hey, unless the sloppiness comes on the defensive side of the ball, I agree with you.
All right, and then of course we're going to talk about USC hosting Missouri State. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah,
Miami.
New
and Notre Dame.
Fire me
FBS
up.
team, Missouri State.
Yeah, welcome to CUSA.
What?
Yeah, they're in CUSA now. They
They
bumped
used to
up.
be in the Missouri Valley in FCS.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did they earn that spot? What did they do to earn that?
They, I think they were asked and said yes.
That
their
is-
Don't you have to
stadium-
like?
That
their
is
stadium has the
unbelievable.
requirements.
Yeah, do you
Hey,
have to
we'll
like
see.
pay money to do that as well?
I think so. And football
Dude.
is not going to be a huge deal, but I believe there's some sort of because James Madison had the playoff ban. If you guys remember,
I thought
that,
this
and
was
they were
just. I
really
thought
huge
this
for
was
it.
just like a Lindenwood, Kansas game.
Now, wait for that. Like
Dude.
I guarantee they're gonna make more money as an FBS team, even if they're terrible, because I
Yeah.
guarantee that they're going to have more conference money in Conference USA than they would in the Missouri Valley Football Conference in the FCS. Even though the
Missouri
Valley
Football
is
Conference-
by
you
far the best FCS conference.
it's certainly top.
I
two,
mean,
the
you
Big
can't
Ten.
blame them, but like, dude,
It's not like
They did
have
not
a
earn
good
that.
football program. And-
no.
They
And
didn't
they're-
have a historically good FCS program.
No, and their basketball.
Graham, look
team-
at what you've done.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
We're
done that.
30
Three,
minutes
man.
from football starting, and we're talking about
I
Missouri
know.
State.
But I think the Valley to CUSA is a downgrade in basketball too. So there's that aspect of it as well. We
Yeah,
can talk about
Alizé
this
Johnson, what a
anytime.
bust.
It doesn't have
What?
to be right now.
Is this going to be like a Kennesaw State moment where they start the season like
Golly.
0-10?
I have no idea.
They have
Maybe.
to. They're
I know nothing
how are they
about
going to
Missouri State
squeak
football.
out a single win? What is their schedule like this year?
Well, they play USC tonight. That's as far as I know. They
Yeah,
might play the Delaware Blue Hens.
Hey, Austin, just to catch you up,
That's
we're talking about
insane,
Missouri
dude.
State.
I don't know why I got it.
Dude, you can keep me out of this conversation, bro.
This is a
Let's
Nick
wrap up-
Triplett
sideline.
conversation right here.
Let's try to wrap up the slate. Tomorrow night, we've got Notre Dame at Miami, 6:30 on ABC. Notre Dame going on the road to Hard Rock is a 2.5-point favorite. I like Miami in this spot, even
I
though
like Miami in the spot too.
even though Carson, I don't have a lot of trust in Carson Beck either. I at least know that he can play an average quarterback at a high level.
No, I
whereas
got
we
Notre
have
Dame in this one.
Tons of question marks about the Notre Dame quarterback. Tell me about your Notre Dame belief, Brendan. Pitch me on.
I
it.
believe in Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
They lost to Northern Illinois last year, which the whole program could have fallen apart, and then ends up basically playing for a chance to play in the title game by the end of the season. Which, that's again early to late season, but Marcus Freeman is a good coach. They've got good playmakers. So, and the woes that we've seen from Miami in the past, like, my question is, can they overcome them? Like, Notre Dame has done that. So, I don't know. I think Notre Dame is a great football team. This is going to be a great game. Let's just say we've talked about home field advantage, not as much of a factor with Miami.
True.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there was quite a big Notre Dame fan base in attendance in Miami. So that said,
Yeah.
they're not really. This is just a gut feeling. I think Notre Dame's going to win.
We've got a rivalry renewed too. It's Catholics versus convicts. It's a 30-year rivalry now, but I love Marcus Freeman. I have way more trust in him than I do Mario Cristobal and Miami. But at the same time, again, we've seen Notre Dame have letdowns in these spots in the past couple of years, like that Ohio State game 2 years ago, obviously Northern Illinois last year. But we'll see. I think this is a game where I feel like the team, like, I don't have the same gut feeling of unpreparedness about this game as I do the games today. Jake, you're making your pick. You're going Miami. Austin's going Miami. Brendan, Notre Dame.
I think Miami. Yeah, I think Miami barely squeaks it out.
Okay, and then
Love it.
we've got
Yep.
Monday night. We've got the opening of the Bill Belichick era in college football. Notre Dame hosting TCU. TCU
Oh my God.
2.5-point favorite on the road. Do we think that the Bill Belichick UNC era will be an unmitigated disaster? Because everything I'm hearing right now is leaning me towards that way, despite all the pedigree that Bill has as arguably the best football coach ever.
I would say
think it's
so.
gonna be a disaster.
I think it's going to be a disaster. I think majority of the people would tell you that.
That's I'm going
Did you see where he filed the trademark for Gold Digger? Him and his barely legal girlfriend filed the trademark for Gold Digger. Don't know what all that's about, but yeah, Yeah,
I
Bill is you can build. He was on a high horse even with his disasters
I want
exiting
to,
New
yeah, I
England.
want to
But
see
I
what
mean,
kind of.
I don't know what he's doing, man.
I don't think North Carolina is going to be that good this year. I'm more interested to see is like how does North Carolina with Bill Belichick look in 2 years?
yeah, that's fair.
Like, is he a program builder? Like you've
How's
been
he
in the
building it
NFL
now?
so long, like it's like what can he compete at the college level? Like it's
Yeah.
completely different coaching. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds for the most part,
I
not professionals.
I think that's up to his girlfriend. I think he's on the old ball and chain. I
See,
think
that's why
she's got the keys, man. Also, um, do we see do we see Bill Belichick get cheated on or get an affair with a active player at UNC? Someone with a more similar age gap to Billy's little girlfriend? Because I think that's a possibility that no one's talking about.
that's
And
Brendan when you
my
when you
my my God, what a headline that would be.
when you brought up how is Bill Belichick going to be able to handle 18 to 22-year-olds, that's my point. Is he's been doing it for a year now.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
this is it's all a test run to see if he can coach collegiate football.
He's
And
got it on his resume now, so
I think I'm going to speak for everyone on the Five Out podcast that we are going to officially nominate the North Carolina Tar Heels as our flaming car crash can't look away team of the season.
Oh
Um,
no, mine is Oklahoma.
you think Oklahoma?
I
Lance
think
Leighton?
Oh,
Oklahoma's going to
come
be
on,
terrible.
Brendan. You just got to
They
be
have
different,
wanted
bro.
uh,
Brett Venables almost got fired after year one because they almost missed a bowl game. Like,
I'm curious to see what they do.
anyone but
and
Illinois.
then they moved to the SEC, and now they're complaining like we want to play Baylor again. Why do we have to go play South Carolina on the road? Why does Tennessee come here? But no, for the comedy bit, you're the flaming car crash of the year is North Carolina.
Yeah, I can't like that's
Here's
the
the
team
thing.
that you'll
I
watch
think
every week, no matter
what
what.
if like they're gonna be like I think it's gonna be similar to Deion Sanders at Colorado.
Yeah,
But I
in year
think
one
Deion's a better college
especially.
football coach. But I think they're just gonna be fine. Like they're probably gonna be like 7 or 8 wins.
I don't even
But
know if
like
they'll get there.
I don't think
never
they go.
I don't.
I don't think they make a bowl game. I don't think they
no,
make a bowl
maybe
game.
not, but I think they get to that's the ceiling, right?
I think you're going to have to
Hmm.
see this year. I think Bill is going to try and approach it the season with an NFL mindset and an NFL scheme. And you're going to see that he doesn't have the talent to make that happen, especially in North Carolina. And I think it's
But
going
he
to
also
take,
is legendary, so he'll be able to bring some good coordinators around
yes,
him.
I think it'll take till the end of the season, but I think he's going to have to move in a way that he probably doesn't want to and make his scheme more college friendly at the tail end of the year. And then, like you said, in year two, maybe there's an uptick in production.
How old is Brady's son? Was he like 17, 16?
He's
Does
probably
Brady's
not.
son have a
No.
future as the starting quarterback at UNC
For Steve
in a
Belichick,
couple years?
for Belichick's son when he becomes the
Steve
coach.
Belichick.
Mm.
So yeah, I think
Yeah, that's what I was
that'll
about to
wrap
say.
up.
It's like, dude, Belichick is old as hell, dude. How much time do they expect? Like, how much time are they realistically going to give Bill Belichick to turn around the program?
I
I
think
think
they'll
he
give
has
him as
3 or
long as he
4 years.
wants.
I think he personally
Which
has
is
3 or 4 years
crazy.
left. But he signed in his contract a clause that would make his son the next head coach. Like
Right,
immediate
which is
successor.
like
So that's really, I think, why
Steve,
he's doing
man.
this. But yeah, that'll wrap up our college football talk as we're approaching the the kickoff on Fox. Uh, I would say right now, as soon as we are done, let's kick it over to ESPN because it's the last Lee Corso game day. So go ahead and watch him make his picks in these next 15 minutes, and then tune your TV to a quad box, or if you want to go on Texas or Ohio State, start watching that. But that is going to do it for this first live episode of Five Out. we had our fair share of problems today, but I think we worked through them fairly well. I think the episode was hopefully watchable. We'll go back and we'll
I'll bring my
edit
laptop
clips.
charger next time, everyone.
We'll be better.
It's only going up from here.
We promise.
The biggest jump comes between week 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So we'll,
Exactly.
I will
Make
attempt
sure
to
that
chime in
you-
on football.
subscribe to.
I'm
the
gonna throw it to
podcast.
Sonny next time. Next time we talk about the NFL, we're doing that more. That's
Oh,
hilarious.
No. Oh no.
Subscribe on YouTube, like this video, share with all of your friends, please. We're trying to grow.
All right, Graham,
can't
quit
do it
sounding
without
like a
you guys.
vlogger over here.
I'm sorry. I'm
Hit the
trying to wrap it-
notification
I'm
bell.
trying to wrap it up.
Hey,
Follow us on
chat.
Instagram, follow us on X, follow us on TikTok. All those links are in the description. Episode will be posted to podcasting platforms at some point. We're still figuring that out. Website will be launching in the next couple of weeks. But thank you guys all for listening, and we will see you at the same time next week.
Football is back, baby. Happy holidays.
All right, Brendan, do we know how to cancel the live?
So we're definitely still live
Yeah.
because my computer died. And
Nice.
If we
I'm,
just
I'm
all
definitely
leave,
joined as a guest. So let's do this,
just all
audience. This is great. You're getting a behind the scenes look. Let's just all leave. That'll cancel it, right? And go.
Bye.
see you guys.
Have a wonderful time.